one thing I endeavor to do is to be positive. I watched this video. I'm not going to review the video. I'm not going to cover the video, but I will post the video in the description. Eric July did it. It's a video about his coverage of comic books. It's actually really good because he addresses some of the issues that many of the people who hate the Rippaverse keep bringing up, right? Like we're just giving him a taste of his own medicine. He did a really good job of bringing the receipts, and boy, does he have receipts about all of the positive coverage he has had of comic books over the years, both from Marvel and DC, and movies that he's covered positively from Marvel and DC over the years. And like I said, man, did he bring the receipts. Many people don't realize that he was covering other things before comic books. Now, I knew this because I've been following his channel for years. I've been subscribed to him. I can't remember when he first came on my radar, and I don't think I subscribed right away, but he was adjacent to some other people I was listening to. Anyway, the reason I introed that way is I did want to deal with this because I think there is a misconception, and I see it in how people approach the Rippaverse. Hear me out. Before you come after me in the comments on attack mode, listen to what I'm saying before you go on the attack. I implore you. There's nothing wrong with being critical of a comic book company, a movie, a thing, whatever. Now, I personally, I've said this 100 times, you've heard me say it on my channel, I choose to cover things that I enjoy. And the reason I choose that is, look, we have a plethora of channels out there that cover all the nonsense that none of us like. They're out there. You can see them. There's no shortage. So in my mind, I said, okay, I don't want to do this. One, I don't have the energy. I'll be honest with you. I have respect for Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers, Nerdrotic, Ryan from RK Outpost. Look, I respect all of these guys. There's many more. There's a bunch of names I could mention that really go in on a lot of the missteps of Marvel and DC. And they do have a lot of missteps. I personally choose to cover the things that I like from these companies. So, if I ever make a video and it's going in, which I doubt I'll do, I can't say never, but I doubt it. But if I ever make a video and I'm going in and I'm blasting Marvel and DC, they've really driven me over the edge. And look, they have done enough to drive people over the edge. I always say I am not naive. I cover things I enjoy, but that doesn't mean I don't recognize there is a problem. There is a huge problem. I saw something, and this is not to cover things I don't like or complain. I can't remember the gentleman's name over at Marvel that he made the comment that Peter Parker could never marry Mary Jane. And it was almost, he felt it. This is just reading the article. This is what it felt like to me. Like he felt incensed by the fans who keep insisting that Peter Parker needs to be with Mary Jane. Like he took personal offense to that. And he said, these fans are coming at me. I'll never do this. Now, look, I can understand you making a stand and making the point like, hey, guys, I'm not going to cower to bullying. But I don't necessarily think that's what that is in this case. And to Eric July's credit, I will say this, and this is what happens, I think, when you have your hate blinders on. And I'm guilty of this. I'm telling you, I can see in my own self, I've been guilty of this. And I've tried to refrain from doing this. I still read Marvel. I still read DC. I like some books they put out. Not as big of a DC guy, I always say that. But I still read some books because I can recognize, even though there's some missteps, there's things they do that I actually enjoy. Like the Avengers casting announcements or cast announcements. A lot of people have issue with that. I've seen all the commentary online. Oh, I hate it all. It got me excited. Now, that excitement does not come without caution. I'm not throwing caution to the wind. Again, I am not naive. I understand what has happened. But I believe that some some believe that you cannot have harsh criticisms of a company that you've loved your whole life. Now, there's a balance, right? This doesn't mean I expect Marvel, DC, or any other company that I love to just fold and cower and do whatever it is I like. I don't expect them to do my bidding. Like Marvel, DC, if you do not do my bidding, I will be mad. No, that's not the case. That's not what I'm expecting. But I think if fans respectfully come to you and say, hey, we would like this, and this is where Eric Jelena Rippaverse comes in. There are many times where I have seen, because I'm a part of this Rippaverse fan space, I have seen where fans have said, hey, maybe you should do this, or maybe this should be done. Look, I'm telling you, he's listening. A lot of people will say, oh, he can't take criticism. I will say this. There is a difference between you can't take criticism and you better do what I say. You could say, yo, I don't like this book from the Rippaverse. I think it's trash. It'll just, yeah, you don't like it. Some people don't like things. What happens is people say this is trash and this is what he needs to do. If he doesn't do this, then he's failing and he better do this way. It's like, hold on, wait a minute. You can criticize and say something is trash and honestly believe that, and maybe it is. Fan stuff is always, I say always, but sometimes, most times, it's subjective, right? Like what I believe is good art might not be what you believe is good art. I've always liked Rob Liefeld's art. People hate Rob Liefeld's art. When I was growing up, it was like a running joke because I like Rob Liefeld. I didn't have a problem with his art, but there's some people that just did not like. I believe I have to call my cousin and ask him. If I remember correctly, he used to get on to me for liking Rob Liefeld's art, but maybe, you get older, memory doesn't serve you well. Maybe I'm misremembering that. But anyway, I said all that to say sometimes in this fan space, in the comic space, you might like something that the other person doesn't like. Here's where the miscommunication comes in. If I create something and you say, hey man, it would have been a good job if it would have been better if you'd have done X, Y, or Z. I might say, you know what? I might consider that. Let's say if you say, yo, I don't like what you created. I think it's trash. And I think you need to change this whole thing and do what I say. I'm not going to be mad at you, but I'm going to say, all right, you don't like it. You think it's trash. You're welcome to your opinion. But if you constantly bombard me thinking that I'm beholden to change what I've created for you, and I think that's where you kind of cross the line. And like I said, there's a balance because you could make the argument that that's what fans are doing to Marvel and DC. I would make the counter argument that we have history of lore, history of stories, continuities that we're all familiar with. And when these things are just tossed to the wind and things are changed willy-nilly, this is not what we've grown to enjoy. If somebody took G.I. Joe and changed some integral part of the story and created a new cartoon that was void of what we grew to love as G.I. Joe, we'd have a problem with that. There'd be a problem. It'd be like, man, like this is not what I was looking for. This is not G.I. Joe. Now that's different from saying, this was good, but I wish they would have done X, Y, and Z. Sometimes your disdain for something is visceral, and I don't even necessarily think that's a problem. I think the problem comes in, like if I despised something, didn't like it viscerally, I think it would be a problem if it was my opinion and my thought that now this company that has created this thing, they have to change everything they do because I hate it. I think that's somewhat arrogant, but that doesn't mean you can't hate this thing viscerally. And I think that's where the disconnect comes sometimes. Anyway, like I said, the video he did was very good. He has the receipts. I'm not going to cover it. I think you should go to his channel. Like I said, I'll post the link in the description and watch that video. If you're a hater, Go watch that video. You and be honest. You can go look up the reviews and the videos he cited, and you will realize maybe you misunderstood him because you heard someone say something and you ran with that narrative, not understanding this isn't necessarily true. But the greater reason I wanted to talk about that and discuss that is because, yo, it is healthy. I think the geek space is healthiest when we have people that say, yo, you like this, I don't. There are people who really did not like Gooding, and I love the book. He's one of my favorite characters. My top 3 characters in a Rippaverse right now is Yaira, Isom, and Gooding. I know you probably expected Horseman to be higher up, but no, it is Yaira, Isom, and Gooding. I love Isom, I love Yaira, and I love Gooding. Those are my favorite characters. There's some people that might say, what, are you nuts? It's Bloodroof and Braxwell or Brian Solari or someone else, whatever other character you like. Saoirse, right? There is so many characters and so many different things, which is crazy. This company's only been around for 3 years, coming up on 3 years. I think, is it coming up on 3 years or 3 years? 3 years? Anyway. And they already have so many characters that they have enough for a diverse, they have so much diverse characters that there's bound to be a character in this universe that you like. And speaking of which, I can't wait to get this new Ripperzine. But I know I'm kind of all over the place trying to make my thought right here concise. I think that people need to understand that there's a fine line that you cross from disdain for a thing just because whatever reason you don't like it to going into hatred and for no good reason. Like there's Marvel characters I just don't like. I just don't like at all, and I never have. I think they're trash and I just won't read the books because I am not interested. Now I could say that like, yo, I think this character's trash. Here's why I think it's trash and I'm not interested. There's a difference from that and going on the attack. And I think sometimes people view, like if you look at somebody like Nerdrotic, you might think, oh, he's just attacking. Nah, I disagree. This is a man who has collected comic books for years. Had his own comic book shop, if I'm not mistaken. He is deep into this. You could see in his figurine collection. He is deep into this. When I hear him, even though complaining and raging out is not my cup of tea, but when I watch his videos, I get where he's coming from. It's not an attack based on hatred. It's an attack, not even an attack. It is a visceral response to a company that has taken things that we have all grown up with and really just thrown caution to the wind and said, yo, we're just going to do whatever with these characters. And I don't think people can realize, or maybe they just don't want to realize what the difference is. There is a big difference.